Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and Henry and I are running in two different directions this morning. I think he's refilling the buckets for me, the barrels for me in the greenhouse, and I am going to be working on the irrigation for this bed. Now, if you've been with us for a while, you know that these two beds here are filled with decomposed straw from previous strawbale gardens. We're not doing strawbale gardens anymore. We decided that in our environment here, for us, it doesn't work as well as it would other places that are wetter. So we eliminated that, but we still have all the straw and we're not going to let it go to waste. So the last 3 years, I think, we've done 3 or 4, I don't know. We've done these beds full of decomposing straw with extra fertilizer added, and we ran our squash and cucumbers and other cucurbits in these two beds. Well, we had to go on a business trip for basically all of August, and they were left in the care of a friend who made sure that they were watered. However, the rodents got to them. Unless you're going to be here all the time, you really can't do anything about that because you need to be running trapping systems, and that's just too much for most people to handle. So what I did was I covered these with row covers when we left to protect them from hailstorms and as much of the vermin around here as I could. This bed, we have 2 surviving squash plants in it, which are looking very happy actually. We have a golden zucchini and a golden zucchini. Okay, so we have 2 golden zucchinis. Everything else in here was eaten by the rodents. My problem right now is the irrigation system in this section of the garden was temporary and was never intended to divide it up into pieces. So there's no way for me to just water this part without watering everything. So I've had it shut off and I've been watering by hand, but I don't want to have to do that. So what I am going to do is I'm going to modify the existing system here. The theory being next spring we're going to completely redo the irrigation over here because we want to add another bed down here. Well, we'll think about that. I mean, I'm just, after this year's experience with rodents and stuff, I had to decide whether it's worth it. But basically, we're going to think about whether we're going to do anything permanent here. If we do anything permanent, it would at least be for these 2 beds. We had originally planned to add another bed over here. I'd still like to. There's a piece of me that still wants to do it, but there's a piece of me that says I'm wasting my time because all I'm doing is feeding the rodents. Unless we can come up with a much better solution to rodent infestation around here, it's just simply not worth growing when we can't be here to monitor continuously. So what I'm doing while I'm talking to you is just pulling out a few weeds. There are not many in here. And I'm going to finish taking the top cover off of these guys, and I'm going to modify the irrigation. Now, this particular irrigation line is simply 3/4 inch tubing that's running on the surface with a bunch of drip irrigation coming off of it. And I am going to cut the line here. I have my original end to my line is over here, and I'm going to remove the fitting on here and reuse it so I don't have to go fish up a bunch of lines fittings. So all I'm going to do in order to eliminate this portion of the line is to cut the line here and put a fitting on it that allows me to fold this completely. Get a few weeds out of here because I want to be able to see clearly what I'm doing. And I have a pair of scissors with me that are going to let me just chomp this in half. It's not brain surgery, it's just a scissor. So all I'm going to do is pick this line up, cut it, and what that's going to do is force me next year to redo this system. I could probably have rigged it some other way, but to be honest, this is one of those decisions that has to be made, and it has to. We decided this year to do it the way we've always done it. It didn't work, and we have to decide if we have any better plans for next year, what they're going to be. So all I have to do is fold that 3/4 line like that, and that is now stopped right here. Now I need to look at this system I have here and decide what, if anything, I'm going to eliminate from it, because I have irrigation for the entire bed. And the question is, do we need irrigation for the entire bed? Maybe. I know that if I just spot irrigate here, it's going to be problematic in the sense that the rest of the bed is going to dry out. I mean, I can see some cracking and stuff here. I think what I will do to start with is just leave it be. That's not the most water efficient way to do it, but it's probably the healthiest thing to do for the bed. Now, I'm also thoroughly annoyed with this grass that's growing here, so I'm going to pull out some of it. I don't like anything that's as thick as this is because I can't really see what's at my feet. And I have an aversion to that. I saw a really big snake, not in the yard the other day, but outside the yard. And he was a non-poisonous snake, which is awesome because it means he's out there eating mice and bugs and stuff like that. However, he was big, and I just really like to be careful. So I'm going to leave this for now. I'll show you my little cucumber. Show you my little squash plants in here. They're actually pretty happy looking. 2 yellow zucchinis. Yellow zucchini is one of our favorite squashes. Now, I have debated trying to grow, I know it's very late in the season, I have debated trying to grow some other squash, and I'm still debating. I might throw it in the greenhouse, or I might risk it out here and decide to cover this with a clear plastic to try and extend the growing season. Our normal date of first frost is about the 15th of October, but it can come up to a week and a half early or several weeks later. So it's impossible to guess, of course. The Weather Channel does that for us, but a lot of times they're really wrong. So what I'm going to do here now is I am going to run this particular section of the irrigation to verify that it's working the way it should, and then I'll decide what to do next. So we'll go get that irrigation on. I can see that this section of irrigation is running, and it brings the water up to this area, and I'm going to open up the valve that allows water to come in here. And now I can see that opening the valve definitely let water in here. And I'm going to curl some of this around so it will put some of the water specifically exactly where I want it, which is for my 2 little guys here, rather than random stuff around the bed. That's right, this one sprays randomly. I forgot about that. And there's a solution. It's a high-tech solution called a rock. Because high-tech solutions like rocks are always a good solution. So when I have some specific emitter that's going crazy and spraying all over, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a rock on it. And it just controls it and keeps it from spraying out of the bed or into areas where there's nothing growing. So I'm going to leave some of that irrigation down there because it'll be better for the bed if there's some universal water in the entire bed. But I'm going to curl the emitters, drip emitters, around the area where the two squash are, so that they get the majority of the water. Just a little bit wandering off into this section. Okay, I have no major sprays. Ideally, I would just water those two spots, but I know that in this kind of a straw bale thing, I'm better off leaving it with some water going into the other areas. Now, I was sort of impressed that this managed to actually stay on despite what was obviously some significant weather while we were gone. I'm going to put this back on because it does reduce the amount of bugs getting to these guys, and it dramatically reduces the evaporation rate, which is never a bad thing in this climate. Now, in other climates, you might be like, oh, we need better air circulation because we're going to get mold and mildew. And here we're like, no, we need less air circulation so that we can keep the plants moist. So I'm just going to bring this back over the top. It's not perfect by any sense of the imagination, but going to kind of tie this up a little and pin everybody back down. And that will help to keep a few of the bugs off too, because man, the cucumber beetles are really annoying right now. And they're not good for squash, so if we could keep a few of the guys off there. These don't seem to be as attractive to cucumber beetles as some things are. And I guess I'm just plain fine with that. One of the things we've really been working at is finding varieties that, like, cucumber beetles don't find as attractive, and they have better disease packages, so they're more resistant to various types of disease that we have around here. Because I won't say we've got everything here, but we pretty much do. And yeah, we're not as wet and problematic as some areas, say like Florida and Georgia might be, but we have our own set of challenges. So I'm just going to pin this guy back down. It's not perfect, but if we have, for instance, a hailstorm, which we could have, this will help to eliminate a lot of the damage. A bad enough hailstorm will obviously tear these up, but it'll still make a big difference in terms of how much damage we get to the plants. This is running for 10 minutes, and then it'll automatically shut off. Trying to make sure this is pretty well attached. Yeah, like I say, not perfect, but better. So that was a simple fix, and mostly now what has to happen in this area is I'm still deadheading some of the weeds that I don't want to put seeds into the ground or the environment when they get chopped up by a lawnmower, or in this case a weed whacker. We don't have a lawnmower that works right now. We own a lawnmower, but we need to renovate it. So there will be lots more going on around here. Now that the basic weeding and mowing has happened, it needs to be done again. I need to do fine tuning on a lot of the pathways. Some of the pathways we will probably treat with our own natural herbicide, which just is basically salt and vinegar. You do not use that on any area that you ever want to grow in anything. So I would never use that in a bed to control weeds, but I can use that in the pathways in which I never intend to grow anything. And it causes it to burn out and dry up really quickly, and then you can burn it with a weed burner or something like that. Some of these areas I'll probably do that in. Most of them I'll just probably pick. It's not that big a deal to me to have to pick them. It just takes a lot of time, and right now that's at a premium. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously I'll be doing lots more. In case you're wondering, I am being bugged by bugs. We have I need to check the area for possible mosquito larvae. There were a couple in the house last night. I have all the buckets I'm aware of dumped, so they won't be raising mosquito larvae, and I need to check. I put what they call a mosquito dunk, which is actually Bacillus thuringiensis, also called BT, into the, it's an insecticide that's natural and won't hurt the pollinators and everything. And that goes into the water tank over there, so that when we do get mosquito larvae in there, it kills them, but it doesn't hurt anything else. I mean, cats and dogs, birds can drink that water and it won't hurt them. So, until next time, bye. And be sure to keep brainstorming, because obviously we are.